This is the PC I built and made a video about it a while back. It's an Alienware Area 51R5, originally released in 2015. The case is kind of special to me. I've always loved the design. I found this one at a local electronics recycling shop. There was nothing inside, just an empty shell, but I knew I wanted it anyway. Then I figured, why stop at one? I might use another one down the line, so I ended up picking up 5 of them. I've had this case for a solid 3 to 4 years, and it's been great. Just seeing it sitting there still makes me happy every time. One day I was just looking at this controller, the Starfield one, and I realized how much I love the design and the color. Then I glanced over at my PC and thought, oh yeah, you will look so good in this. Next thing you know, I'm painting the entire case. This case is basically a steel frame with a lot of plastic panels. It is very heavy. I started by taking the case apart. Okay, good. And I'm not gonna use this GPU support bracket, so I'm gonna need to drill this out. I need to fit this board somewhere in this area, so I'm gonna drill some holes. This board is a Dell proprietary part, but I have to use it. I will explain later what it does. So the next thing I wanted to try was using this paint stripper. The idea was to see if I could strip off the black coating down to bare steel. Of course, it didn't work at all. It just made a mess on the case, and I ended up having to wash the whole thing off.
So I have this self-etching primer, and hopefully it will turn out fine this time.
Not gonna lie, spraying this frame is actually pretty challenging for me, given the size of the case and the difficulty of... Okay, let me pause the video here for a second, because it is at this exact moment that I realized if I want a good coverage and a good finish out of these spray cans, I will need a lot of cans. And I mean a lot. And these cans are not terribly expensive, but they add up quickly. Before I sprayed a metal frame, I actually did a few plastic parts just to see how they turn out to be. And guess what? They turn out to be great. So I was confident that the frame will turn out to be great as well. Unfortunately, no. The primer is always tacky. Maybe I didn't sand down the finish to let the primer to stick on, or maybe I chose the wrong primer. I just don't know. I don't know at this point. Plus, I was doing all this on my balcony, so it's small and the space is very limited. With the sizes of these parts, I can do at most 3 to 4 parts at a time, I would say. So yeah, these 2 mistakes that I make. Okay, so number 1 is I used the paint stripper. That was silly of me to even think that would work. That was a complete waste of my time. So number 2 is I should have found someone professionally to do this from the get-go. So yeah, but now I invested time and money into the spray cans. I have to continue. I will continue to spray the plastic parts because I like the results. They turn out to be great. But for the metal parts, I am gonna find someone else to do it. So I went on the good old Kijiji and found myself a guy that does powder coating for pinball machines. Oh yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy. I'm not gonna bore you with the actual painting process, so these are the finished plastic parts. It's not professional grade or anything, but I'm satisfied with the result. As you can see here, I did some in white and some in gray, to have a little bit of contrast. And these are the steel parts that the pinball guy powder coated. Honestly, I was shocked by how good they turned out. And now, the frame.
So the paint job looks like this.
It looks absolutely fantastic. There is no way I can achieve a finish like this by using spray cans. He only charged me 120 Canadian dollars for all these parts. And there's a few areas didn't have enough coverage, but those areas will be covered when I put parts in it. Oh, and I forgot to mention, if you're planning to try this yourself, just be ready. I used Rust-Oleum spray cans on plastic parts, and while the paint dries pretty quickly, the smell, oh man, that sticks around. After my final coat of white and gray, I left everything outside for a couple of days to air out. But when I brought one piece back inside, the smell was so strong I had to immediately take it back out. In the end, I left all the parts outside for almost 3 weeks, just to be safe. I drilled some of the rivets out, so it's time to put them back together. I actually bought this rivet gun specifically for this project. I had never used one before, so I wasn't sure what to expect. Turns out, it's not too bad once you get the hang of it, but lining things up takes a little patience. This is the latching mechanism for the side panels. Honestly, after painting these, they work like crap, even though I put a lot of lube in them. And that's the latching mechanism completed. Piece can be secured. Okay, before I go any further with this case, I need to grab some parts from that case. I need those lights from the inside, so I guess it's time to disassemble that computer. Alright, so this is the front panel, and these are the lights that I need from the old computer. And I'm gonna hot glue them, just like what I did here. I'm not really a fan of these LEDs, mainly because the only way to control them is through Alienware software. And getting that software to actually work takes some annoying workarounds, which I'm not gonna dive into in this video. Unfortunately, there aren't any replacement options either, so I'm kinda stuck using them. Also, another annoying thing about these LEDs is that they can do a bunch of colors, just not white. Go figure. Back panel is right here. Oh, I cannot add the back panel yet because there's a light that goes through the back here that I'm gonna remove. Okay, so I got these panels. This is already settled. I can only go in this way. And piece by piece, the chassis is slowly coming together. Okay, the case is somewhat almost finished. Since I'm not using the original LEDs for the side panels, I will be replacing them with some RGB strips that I used from my last build. I will put them on later. It's gonna go like this. Right. One panel done. Let's do the other one. And with that, the chassis is completed. I really like how the white and gray color scheme turned out. It's clean, modern, and has just the right amount of contrast. The white gives it a fresh, minimal look, while the gray adds depth and breaks up the tone. It's subtle, but it still stands out in the best way. So I want to see how much does this case weight with all the paint and everything? It's a whopping 14.7 kilograms. I won't be using the original side panel lighting, so that won't be a problem. The front panel lighting though, I cannot replace that, and for that, There are some Dell or Alienware proprietary parts that I need to use, and I will explain how they work together. For this era of Area 51 desktop, there are two versions, R2 and R5. The R2 is the one with the DVD drive in the front, and the R5 is the one without the DVD drive. Out of all the cases I have, I went with the R5 because it has a more modern and sleek look. Now the way I find it works is to use both the I/O boards from R2 and R5. Let me explain. This is the power button board, or Dell calls it the logo board. This board is the same for both R2 and R5, so it doesn't matter which one you have. It has the actual power button on it, and it also has these 4 connections for the front panel lighting. The last connection here is to connect this board to the R2 I/O board. And here is my R2 I/O board. It connects to this 8-pin plug here. I also need to use this USB 2 header and this front I/O header here to connect to my motherboard. Now this is the R5 I/O board. I'm only using this for the USB ports and the audio jack in the front, so I need to connect the USB 3 header and the HD audio port to my motherboard. Both of these boards needs to be powered by Molex. And this is how it looks with the 4 LEDs connected to it. I then started to put the parts into the case. The components are mostly the same from the last build. I did change the CPU cooler, got a new set of RAM, and I bought myself a new GPU. I will put the part list at the end of this video. Okay, I'm actually changing out this cooler. This is a black one. I have the exact same cooler, the Noctua NXT15, in the silver, so I'm gonna change to that one. While I was taking apart the cooler, I came across something pretty interesting. Here I applied the Thermo Grizzly's Cryonaut thermal paste about 2 years ago and haven't touched it since. What's surprising is how it held up, or didn't. When I removed the CPU cooler, I noticed the thermal paste had almost completely dried out and was nearly gone. Almost nothing left. Wow. But my CPU temperatures are doing okay though. That's weird. So now I know the Cryonaut is not gonna last very long. I got this new Duranaut to try it out. See if this is any good. It's supposed to be long lasting, so I guess only time will tell. I prefer the silver one over the black because it comes with the original brown Noctua fans, which actually match the rest of my case really well. I also have this set of white heatsink covers from Noctua to complete the look. I picked up a new GPU for this build. It's the AMD RX 9070 XT. I went with the Sapphire Nitro Plus version because I love how the power cable is completely hidden. Super clean look. However, if you use the included adapter with your own power supply cables, it's a mess to deal with. So I bought this shortened cable from CableMod. Plugged directly into the power supply and no adapter needed. And actually, this was the first time I walked into a local Canada Computers and bought something I wanted that wasn't out of stock. No scalpers, no waiting for restocks, just walked in and got it. It was a bit pricey, sure, but honestly, I'm okay with that. I need to put the RGB strips back onto the side panels. Last time, I used hot glue, a lot of hot glue, to stick them in place. It actually worked really well. They didn't fall off or anything, even with the heat generated from the PC. So this time, I'm gonna use the same method to attach them. The only downside is that it looks a little messy. Now onto cable management. So my plan is I'm gonna manage these white cables last because I don't know how I want them yet. Yeah, I just don't know. So I'm gonna take my time, and then I'm gonna bore you with the whole process of the cable management thing. I'm just gonna show you the results.
I forgot to paint this part gray.
As you can see, it's all white, but at some point I'll paint it gray.
I like the look of it, so there you go.
And again, piece by piece, the whole PC is slowly coming together. Like I said before, the paint job turned out to be great. The metal powder coating is fantastic. I know what you must be thinking now. You must be thinking that I can even see any of the metal parts when both panels are on. And you are absolutely right. You can actually catch a glimpse of the powder coating right here, if you look closely. But aside from that, I'll need to pop open one of the panels if I actually want to see the inside. Yes, I went with a white and gray theme for the case, but the inside, that's where things can get colorful. Gotta have a little fun with it, right? This is what the inside looks like. Same old Noctua fans all around, but this time I changed the CPU cooler to the same color. I also properly fit that R2 I/O board in this build as well. I don't really mind the few visible cables. Honestly, it kinda gives the build a more functional, maintenance-ready vibe. Knowing that the inside is painted white too really satisfies my OCD tendencies. It's just so clean and consistent, and now I can finally sleep at night. Now onto cable management. Honestly, I did my best to manage all the cables in here. It's not the cleanest cable management job ever, but hey, I think I did alright. Everything is neatly organized and tucked away as best as I could. There are a few cables, like the USB 3 headers, that are just tough to manage cleanly because of where the I/O board is positioned. There's really no way around it. I actually drilled a pretty big hole at the bottom next to the power supply to route the PSU cables through, and honestly, that hole made a huge difference in keeping everything organized. And since I'm not using any hard drives, the backside has quite a bit of room for cables. There's this little light at the back of the case. Dell calls it the accessibility light. It doesn't look like much, especially under normal lighting, but in the dark, it actually works surprisingly well. Look how bright that is. Will I ever use it? I don't think so. Speaking of lighting, here's how the case looks now. I replaced the original LEDs with these Fantex neon RGB strips. These strips are way brighter than the original ones, and the best part is, they sync perfectly with my Gigabyte motherboard. No hassle at all. The front panel lighting is still the original, so it doesn't support any RGB effects. However, I do like that the power button lights up. The logo board actually has two LEDs on it. It's kind of like another accessibility light, but you can't change its color. It's just static. Originally, this light would turn off when you close the side panel, but I removed the sensor and related components, so now it stays on as long as the PC is powered up. The GPU also has a light bar. I just set it to a static yellow, orangey color to match the front. Here's the full spec list of my current setup. Like I mentioned earlier, most of the parts are still the same. The big upgrades this time around are the GPU, 120 gigs of RAM, and a new set of white Corsair cables. At the time I'm recording this, the CPU, the Ryzen 9 5950X, is almost 5 years old, and the same goes for the X570 platform. But honestly, it still holds up really well for daily use. It's fast, reliable, and hasn't let me down. This is my do-it-all PC, not just for gaming. I use it for everything. Video editing, web browsing, watching YouTube, gaming, photo editing. This machine handles it all. And for the monitor, I'm using this 38-inch LG ultra-wide. 144Hz refresh rate, 3840 by 1600 resolution. It's been a perfect match for this setup. I won't dive into benchmarks or performance numbers. There are already tons of reviews out there on this CPU and GPU. But what I can say is that for my gaming needs, it's doing just fine. Ray tracing is still a weak spot on the 1970 XT. Most games run well over 100 FPS with ray tracing off. But as soon as I turn it on, performance usually drops to around 40 to 50 FPS. That said, the best part about this card? It's super quiet, even under full load. Take a listen. And the GPU is on full power right now. Also, airflow in this case is excellent. Both the GPU and CPU temps stayed nice and balanced. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much. I had a lot of fun with this project, and now I've got something I built myself sitting on my desk. And honestly, I'm pretty proud of it. Here are a few things I learned along the way. If you're using an older motherboard like mine, do yourself a favor and replace the CMOS battery. It will save you a ton of unnecessary stress. Surprisingly, white cases hide dirt and dust better than the black ones, both inside and out. You might have noticed that not all white cables look the same. Some are slightly darker, and that's because they are older. For example, the GPU cable is newer, so it's visibly brighter than the rest. When painting, I let the parts dry, but I underestimated how long the smell would linger. Trust me, when your PC is sitting right next to you, you notice it. Don't skip the air out time. And finally, what's your style? Are you on the light side or the dark side? Let me know in the comments. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next one.